Let's discuss Portugal. To me, they're not contenders, they're pretenders until Roberto Martinez basically has the balls to drop Cristiano Reidue.
As much as I love Desiree Du as a player, but like when your competition is Ousmane Dembele, Michael Olise, and Kylian Mbappe, who are arguably the three best attackers in the world, like it is what it is.
Bench as well. The US have got some juice, man, and they have a pretty decent bracket, a friendly bracket. They might be running into the likes of Belgium, maybe down the line, could be a bit tricky. But I think the US semi-finals would be a great achievement.
Welcome to the dugout as we continue our coverage of the FIFA World Cup. Gentlemen, how are you guys?
Great.
World Cup fever well and truly on here, Doc. Loving the show.
So we've had about 9, 10 days. We've had the first round of games. Let's talk about some of the contenders and the pretenders. Let's start from the 22 finalists, Argentina and France. We'll start with Argentina, of course. Leo Messi with a hat trick against Algeria. Mustafa, your thoughts. Are they contenders or pretenders? And can Messi continue his scoring streak?
I'm not convinced of either yet, right? Because while Algeria has historically been a good team, especially with this generation, they were a little bit subpar today and they have gotten older. So not today, but like when they played the match. And they've gotten a bit older. While Messi was great, and as we talked about in our previous episode, he's still the magic man in moments. But I need to be able to see it against a top team for me to actually consider him a contender because I still am unsure about the team around him.
AZ, contender, pretender.
Well, I think they know how to win World Cup matches ugly now, even though Algeria had their share of opportunities in the first half. But when you have Lionel Messi reformed, reborn, regenerated, rising up like Lazarus and playing the way that he is in this World Cup, I mean, to get a hat trick in your very first game, what a statement it makes to the rest of the teams and especially to the man across the bow who they will perhaps be meeting in the knockout phase. We are on course for an Argentina Portugal clash eventually. And Ronaldo had a very, very poor game, barely got any touches. And Portugal overall were subpar. So it seems to be Lionel Messi's world once again, Doc. And we are well and truly living in it.
So I wasn't going to come to Portugal next, but let's come to Portugal then. Let's discuss Portugal. To me, they're not contenders, they're pretenders until Roberto Martinez basically has the balls to drop Cristiano or adjust his playing style to take advantage of the midfield with Bruno, Vitinha, and João Neves. Mustafa, your thoughts?
I don't particularly think Cristiano is the problem. He's not the player he used to be. I don't think dropping him is the problem either, right? I think the actual problem is this defensive tactics and basically these sideways and basically backwards passes. There is no vertical movement forward in their entire game. After they scored their first goal with that against the Congo, they just sat back and laid off. You have immense attacking talent. You have an amazing midfield. You cannot be pragmatic in that way, right? You don't like while your defense is good, you cannot let the game come to you in this type of situation because this is what is going to happen. And then you're going to try to serve it, try to get it out of it and saying, oh, we're just gonna try to get it to Ronaldo, service to Ronaldo. Like I think that's wrong.
Well,
Three,
I
two,
hope
one.
they are contenders. I want them to be contenders. And like Mustafa mentioned, you have a midfield in their prime. Joao Neves with a wonderful goal. And of course, you've got Vitinha, the man, the inspirational man behind back to back Champions League campaigns, winning campaigns for PSG. And of course, you've got, the assist king of the Premier League, so to speak, Bruno Fernandes. But where is the attack? Where is the movement? Of course, everybody has been piling on Ronaldo, but where was the service? He was isolated. He was moving here and there, trying to create openings, but in the end, they did not create enough opportunities for him. Fair enough. You want to bench Ron. Who have you got on the bench? Gonzalo. Do you expect him to be able to create that sort of impact? And Bernardo Silva's stupid booking in the first 10 minutes. And of course, he had to be pulled, was having a poor game in the first place. Currently, Brass tacks, to be honest, Doc, I backed Portugal to do something, but with this haram ball that Roberto Martinez is playing, I think they are very much pretenders. I have to say that.
All fair points. Let's come to France. To me, France were impressive in the sense of the gear they went into. Kylian Mbappe, of course, two excellent goals. Clearly, for me, they are a contender. I think they've been a contender, and obviously they won in 2018. They reached finalists in 2022, and this generation of this talented generation of this continues. Yes, we've had issues with Deschamps, but Mustafa, would you agree, contender?
Oh, very easily a contender. They're one of the top contenders, in my opinion, and they were one of the top contenders coming into the tournament. Just because they have Kylian Mbappe and Michael Olise and Desiree Doué and Barcola off the bench and Ousmane Dembele.
Yeah, but still putting all of these pieces together, I just feel that perhaps Chouameni and Rabiot, that two-man
Mm,
pivot is a bit too stale. But Rabiot, Deschamps loves Rabiot. We saw him starting consistently in the Euros. He relies very heavily on him. Rabiot did play a decent game, and of course he's played for Juve, so I'm obviously going to support him. But those diagonal cuts that they made to get those goals. I mean, truly, when France needs
mm.
to turn it on, when they need to find that extra gear, they've been doing it since 2016 onwards. And of course, that was pre Mbappe when he wasn't quite on the scene with Griezmann and Giroud and everybody else. And of course, Dimitri Payet, remember, a blast from the past.
Mhm.
So I think Deschamps knows when he needs to motivate his boys just to shift that extra gear. Some stunning goals coming in. And like Mustafa mentioned, when you've got Barcola and Ryan Cherki coming off the bench, solid contenders. But the problem is they might be running into the Mannschaft when it comes to the round of eight, round of 16, and you never know. That's an iconic match that's waiting to be set up here at the World Cup.
And like one last point, they are the scariest team in transition in the entire tournament.
Mustafa, let me ask you a question. AZ mentioned Ryan Cherky. Cherky, of course, came on in
Hmm.
the 84th fourth minute. Is there a place that Deschamps can slot him in to start, or is he best coming off the bench?
I personally think Turkey should be starting, but like the way you would do it, I would ideally move Mbappe to left wing, Dembele to striker, Olise stays at right wing, and Turkey takes up that number 10 role, and that midfield would feel a bit more
So you
complete.
would drop Desiree Doué.
As much as I love Desiree Doué as a player, but like when your competition is Ousmane Dembele, Michael Olise, and Kylian Mbappe, who are arguably the three best attackers in the world, like it is what it is.
Yeah,
I think
unfortunately,
you
I
can
think you're right. Go
afford to
ahead.
drop Usman Dembele, to be quite honest, and have Cherki, manipulating. You've got the speed merchant of Michael Olise and, of course, Desiree Doué. So I think that would also be an option because Dembele didn't have a great game, but a galaxy of riches. I mean,
Hmm.
pick your choice, pick your
It
poison
is.
for
It's a
Deschamps.
plethora of talent. Let's come to Germany, who you mentioned. Germany, of course, very, very impressive in their 7-1 battering of Curacao. Kai Havertz, who we mentioned, has a knack for scoring big goals in big games, and Joshua Kimmich, seem to have instant chemistry. This is maybe, as we mentioned in the preview, one World Cup earlier than what we were expecting from this German team, but they've hit the ground running. For me, definite contenders. Maybe not to go all the way, but at least a quarterfinal, semifinal type. And then once you reach the quarters, as Jose Mourinho used to say, anything can happen. AZ, we'll come to you first. Germany, your thoughts?
A very exciting side, like we've mentioned in our previews, and of course in the run to the World Cup. Maybe it's 4 years early, but you never know with the likes of Schotterbeck, Florian Wirtz, Jamal Musiala, Nathaniel Brown, the way he's playing, and Mecha, and of course the talisman, Kai Havertz, the way he steps up in these big tournaments. You never know. I mean, Germany have got some juice, and it's looking good for them as well. They're playing some good football. When they have that titanic clash with France, as we are imagining, if they can overcome that hurdle, I think then maybe you would have to take Germany pretty seriously. And are they pretenders? Are they contenders? Let's say they're semi contenders at this point, I would say.
I just need to see more, and I personally think this is a 28, like I've said before, this is like a 2018 Spain situation where they do really well in the group stages, and they might crash out really quickly in the knockout stages.
Let's come to what I think was after France the most impressive team in the first round, which was England.
Hmm.
Absolutely battered Croatia in that second half in their 4-2 win. To me, another team just like France, which has a plethora of riches. I mean, you Kobe Minu didn't even get off the bench. You talk about Rashford and Saka coming off the bench as wingers. Thomas Tuchel seems to have got the handbrake off that Gareth Southgate had. To me, definite contenders. Mustafa, your thoughts, and then Easy will come to you.
It is very annoying to me that it is very clear to everyone that Saka, Kane, and Rashford is probably England's best front three, except for every single England manager for the for the last like 10 years, right? I think they're contenders. I think the way the other teams are looking, I do think it's actually probably their best opportunity to win it.
Well, that flurry, that 20-minute flurry we saw after the half, I mean, that was,
Mm,
I think I've never seen England play like that. The way they
mm,
absolutely hammered the Croat defense. But like Mustafa mentioned, of course, Saka wasn't fully fit. Otherwise, he was an undoubted starter. Rashford, I'm a bit torn on him because he likes the ball to feet. He's not really going to chase the ball. And maybe you need somebody like Anthony Gordon who will at least run on those through balls. But the way Jude Bellingham, I think he is the key. As long as
mm.
Jude is playing well, जैसे जूड चलता है वैसे इंग्लैंड चलता है. He was poor, I felt, at stages in 2024 at the Euros, but the way he scored that third goal, with the way he was absolutely everywhere, not just in attack but in defense as well. If Jude Bellingham has a World Cup to remember, Harry Kane, we know he's a machine. I mean, absolutely world class. What more can you say? Where was the Croat marking on that second goal? Absolutely absurd. And England, they've got the eye of the tiger, man. They are certain contenders, no doubts about it.
It was very noticeable the uptick in England's form in that second half once Jude Bellingham basically upped his game, and he
Mm.
has that level that no other, very few players have, that additional gear, so to speak. Let's move on to the U.S. So not a traditional contender, but we've seen this before. Saw this in Korea in 2002. We saw in France 98. Nobody expected France to win that World Cup. Can the U.S. maybe not win it, but get to a semifinal on home soil? Christian Pulisic, of course, injured today, did not play against Australia, but the U.S. still comfortably in front at the time of this recording. Your thoughts on the U.S.'s chances to be contenders in this World Cup? Mustafa, starting with you.
I'm sorry to say to all our US fans and to you, Sadi, by wearing a USA shirt, they are the biggest pretenders in this tournament.
I think you are completely off the mark here. They've got a lot of
Nah,
juice with
nah.
Balogun, with Wes Bikini, with Christian Pulisic. If they can keep him fit, Ricardo Pepi playing today, he's got some juice as well. I mean, remember they're playing at home, so you
Hmm.
have a lot of support. You've got a lot of the momentum with you. The country is high, riding high on that World Cup fever, and they've got good players, man. Anthony Robinson at the back. The centre backs are looking good as well. You've got that two-man pivot in the middle, Gio Reyna, coming off the bench as well. The US have got some juice, man, and they have a pretty decent bracket, a friendly bracket. They might be running into the likes of Belgium, maybe down the line, could be a bit tricky. But I think the US semi-finals would be a great achievement, but I would not be surprised. Of course, we cannot say, to go all the way, contenders to go all the way. But once again, semi contenders, if they even reach the semi-final, that's a massive achievement. That's historic for the US of A.
I think the one thing I've noticed this time, they have the physical attributes. And I think
Hmm.
Pochettino has given them that technical nous and a little bit of that how to win dirty and play the
Hmm.
dark arts sort of game to win. Let's come to the least impressive team from the list of contenders, which is, of course, the Spaniards. Spain, of course, had a disappointing nil-nil draw against Cape Verde, the only nil-nil draw that we've had in this World Cup. We highlighted, of course, their issues with that number 9 position in our team preview. It seems to have reared its ugly head. Mustafa and AZ, contenders or pretenders?
I still think they're contenders. I still think there's so much talent there that they cannot be contenders, right? They are still the European champions, right? And they were in the Nations League final last year against Portugal. And let's be very honest, they are missing arguably the best player in the world in Yamin Yamal in that right wing position, who we don't know if he's going to be back until the knockout stages, right? But the thing that should concern Spain fans is the play of Pedri in that first game, because He is so key to what they do, and if he is not working, it is a big, big problem to them.
Yeah, I felt that perhaps he was overburdened in that game. It was all about Pedri or nothing. And maybe leaving Danny Olmo on the bench, leaving Nico
Mm.
Williams on the bench when Yamal was already not fully fit to go. I thought perhaps the starting 11 from Spain wasn't that great. Ferran Torres had a terrible game.
Yeah.
Oyarzabal was a ghost, absolutely nowhere. So I think they just need to tweak their lineup. And of course, you have to give a lot of credit to Curacao. They played out of their mind. Vozinha, I mean, the way he kept, I
Hmm.
mean, it was truly a magnificent performance. That tends to happen when the overwhelming favorite keeps battering you, but you can't find that goal. And I do expect them to get back to regular programming in the second game. But are they contenders? I think a lot will need to go their way if they are to go to the last dance here. I don't think it's their year. I think it's not happening for Spain. They just lack a bit of something
Hmm.
that's not quite there.
All right, last contender versus pretender, the five-time champions, the Selecao in Brazil. Again, they struggled a little bit. Neymar clearly is not going to play in this World Cup, but to me, when you have Vinicius Junior, who scored that fantastic goal, you will always have a chance to win games because he's that one player, and there's only a handful of players in this game. You mentioned Jude Bellingham before, who can create something out of nothing and basically win you a game or at least get you back in a game. Your thoughts on Brazil? To me, still contenders. Maybe it's that aura of Brazil and they don't deserve it, but I just have faith in Carlo Ancelotti. He'll figure it out. And of course, that individual talent, headlined, of course, by Vinny Jr.
Yeah. It really for me comes down to the number nine position and who they're going to play in it. If it's going to be Endrick, if it's going to be Cunha, if Igar Thiago can go up a level. It all and let's be very honest. As good as Neymar has been, he is very much a plus point on this squad right now, and not even that right now because he's still injured. This team will go as far as Vinny goes, but he needs a proper number nine to help him out.
I think, or even a 10, like you mentioned,
Yeah.
Matthias Cunha may be playing in the hole. I think they need to take a bit of a gamble here and drop one of Gumarães or Casemiro. Likely Casemiro. Use slot Lucas Paqueta in there to just be a bit of a schemer. Try to provide that extra man with that extra bit of spark to support Vinicius and get Matthias Cunha perhaps in the side. And Rafinha, I mean, the way he tears it up for Barca in La Liga and in the Champions League, he was absolutely AWOL in the first game. He needs to pull up his socks as well. He needs to do a lot better. And Igor Thiago, I think it's a bit harsh on him. He was, starved of service. They certainly need to improve. But like, of course, Mustafa mentioned, it's Vinny and Inshallah for the most part. He needs to be the Ronaldinho of 2002. He
Hmm.
needs to be that inspirational figure. He needs to be Bebeto of 1994, perhaps, and do a hard carry. Otherwise, Brazil go as far as Vinicius goes. Are they contenders? Let's find out tonight versus Haiti. If they put on a show, maybe they discover their self confidence, their self belief. I just feel mentally right up here. That is where Brazil are truly struggling. If they can put 4 or 5 past Haiti and get their campaign on track, maybe they can turn a corner and become genuine contenders.
I think you make a good point that good showing against Haiti today will go a long way. They're a flair team. They feed off those goals. I think that at the end of the day, when that midfield has to basically gel, they took off Casemiro at halftime, brought in Fabinho, really didn't make too much of a difference between that Casemiro, Bruno Guimaraes, and that number 10 position. That's Carlo has to sort that out, and as that goes, so will Brazil. Let's move on to some of these dark horse teams that played really well and out of these teams, who do we think can reach the semifinal? Let's talk about Sweden, Norway, the Dutch, Japan, Korea, Senegal, Mexico, and Morocco. To me, the Mexicans yesterday had their second game again. Home crowd, just like the U.S., is going to push them. Any one of this group of teams that strike you guys as one of those that could rise to the top?
I would have picked like one of my dark horses before the tournament, and still kinda is Japan because of how well Japan performs in tournaments. But they did take a giant hit because of the Kubo injury. I don't know how long he's out for. Um, the other person who I don't really think of him as a dark horse as much as you guys, which is Morocco, because I personally think Morocco are one of the best 10 teams in this tournament personally, and they've got to the semi-final in Qatar for a reason. and I do think they have a very good opportunity to get back to the semi-final, if not the final this year as well.
Well, I'm looking at the likes of Colombia because have a relatively friendly bracket. They'll be facing very likely the likes of Spain, Austria, and Croatia. Maybe they will face perhaps Belgium down the line. Colombia could be a dark horse to go to the semifinals, bare minimum. Maybe it could be the Netherlands. They will clash with Morocco eventually if all goes according to plan. So that will be a bit of a inflection point in the World Cup. Turkey, if they can sort themselves out, I think it was just a bad day. I really like them. They do have the personnel, but the performance perhaps is not there to match. And I would not count out USA, man. They're looking good, but they might run into Argentina at one stage. So that could be the problem. I think US, Mexico, the hosts are going to have a good World Cup, and Canada, the way they turned it on against Qatar, fair enough. They got that early red card, and it was one-way traffic from there. They've got juice. I mean, they've got goals in them. That's what I like about Canada. They are a bit reckless at times, but they do have goals. And Jonathan David, of course, smashing a hat trick, so he's discovered his self-confidence as well. So I think the hosts are going to elbow a lot of teams out of this World Cup as we progress onto the playoff stage.
You mentioned Jonathan David, you mentioned hat tricks. Let's come to the race for the Golden Boot. Of course, Jonathan David and Leo Messi, the two hat trick merchants, basically leading the charts, 3 goals each. But then a whole list of a plethora of basically top tier talent between Mbappe with 2 goals, Harry Kane with 2 goals, Balogun with 2 goals, Haaland with 2 goals, and Kai Havertz with 2 goals. Um, that's the one thing this World Cup hasn't had a shortage of. It's the number of goals. There's only been the 1-0 draw, and I think there's only been the 1-1-0 game. Do you think this is um, because of the attacking prowess, or do you think this is a general dip in defensive structure and defensive-minded football that you see in world football today? And then two, your thoughts on if any other players that I haven't mentioned can join the race for the Golden Boot.
So, um, I personally think there's a lacking of world-class center backs and defenders than they were about a decade ago. There are still world-class attackers. The attackers are mostly at the same level, but the level of defending and center back and the general play style and the way the rules have changed over the last 10 to 15 years have favored attacking, as they do in all of sports. All of sports are slowly moving to favoring attacking and not favoring defending. That's an issue, but I also do think the defensive structures are also really weird with a lot of these teams as well.
The problem is there's so much variance between the two teams,
Mm,
and there, 48 teams. You have somebody ranked 10th in the world taking on somebody ranked 62nd, for example. So there's obviously a major gulf in class and, prowess in terms of defensive ability. So I think that's why we're going to have some of these wild and wacky results. In terms of the names, the familiar names you mentioned, Mbappe, Kane, well, Haaland, we know, of course, we're expecting him to pile on the goals as well, as we saw for him for Norway. We saw Jokeres, we saw Isak. Maybe a Colombian player could get in the mix there. And who else comes to mind? Havertz, as you've already mentioned, Kane. I think all the big name candidates to top the top goal scorers charts for the Golden Boot. I think the familiar names are pretty much there. Maybe Igor Thiago, you never know if Brazil start to find their touch, if they find their groove, you never know. And of course, Messi is Messi, he's right up there.
yeah.
Maybe Balogun, I'd point out him. Maybe he could, the way he started with the brace, he's looking razor sharp. I think I like Balogun's chances for a Golden Boot run as well.
I honestly
I
think
think
Messi is the best shout because their group as well is Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. Those are very.
Yeah, he has a chance to stat pad at that Jordan game, which will be, of course, held here here in Dallas. That's his chance to do the Zimbabwe of cricket. AC, you mentioned a very good point. I do think that you will see fewer goals in the knockout stages, but not necessarily as many fewer goals. You probably see a bunch of 2-2s is my guess. I think teams are going for it. The other thing that's interesting is I actually like the technical chess game that's happening in these water breaks. It's almost turned, coaches are taking the opportunity to make changes within the first half instead of waiting till the end of the first half. 3 minutes is a good enough time for coaches to get out there, basically tweak formations, adjust stuff, and then you have 20 minutes to see basically if something is going to work or not, and then talk about it again at halftime. Your thoughts on the hydration break aspect, the technical aspect of the hydration break, not necessarily the commercialization of it.
As we all know, we all three of us watch American sports as well, where we've seen this in basketball and we've seen this in American football, where yes, ethically it's the idea, okay, oh, it's so weird, it's always been a game of two halves. But it's about how to shift. It's about coaching. If you can use them to your advantage, use them to your advantage. It is about reforming your team. It is about shifting momentum. It is giving you a break in play. You can shift momentum if it is going not your way, and that is how you should be acting upon it.
Plus, also just breaking the rhythm of the game itself. You cool down, your heart rate slows down, the adrenaline that was pumping brings you down. So even that disturbance in play perhaps affects things overall. I'd love to see the data after this World Cup on what transpired after hydration breaks in terms of, in terms of yellow cards or red cards or goals, of course. So it'll certainly be fascinating to see. And it certainly added that American element to this World Cup. And it will be interesting to see, after a hydration break, if something truly dramatic happens in the knockout stage. And you mentioned the knockout stage. Yes, then it'll get tighter. There will be a fewer goals. But I think certainly so far we're enjoying the group stage. It's been helter skelter. It's been absolutely bizarre. Some of the results we've seen so far. So it's tremendous entertainment for sure. A great advertisement for the game.
I was telling some Premier League friends of mine who watch the Premier League that it's no difference than when Arsenal get a goal kick and Raya basically takes 3 minutes to get the ball back in. Hydration breaks are no different than that. I have to say, overall, I know that prior to the World Cup, there was a lot of talk about how this World Cup's going to be. It's been a wonderful watch, but that's not surprising. World Cups, doesn't matter where they're held, for all, as long as I can remember, it's always been this wonderful sporting experience, this coming together of people, coming together of fans for this love of this wonderful game that we all love watching. It's the highs and lows, and there's nothing quite like it.
Yeah, and like honestly, I can about not about USA's chances now, but I'm thinking about USA's chances in about 20, 30 years, and how much of it a great advertisement it is to them, right? Because they are now seeing proper World Cup fever. You are seeing the Scots in Boston. You are seeing the Mexicans and the Koreans together. Koreans together. You're seeing all of this. I think it's going to quickly grow the game in the Americas, and that might change a paradigm in the coming decades, essentially.
I think, but bottom line, the American mindset is it's a very capitalist mindset. That it's all about the W, it's all
Mm.
about the wins, it's all about victory. So that's why I think this team USA under POC really need to have a deep run. If they make it to the semifinals, then definitely I agree with Mustafa that it could inspire a generation with the likes of Wes McKennie, Tim Weah, Balogun, Pulisic. They could become, household names. The LeBron James of soccer could be a reality in
All they
2026.
all they need is like one good upset, right? They just need like one good
They
upset.
might run into Egypt and Argentina eventually, so that's
The
it's gonna be fun.
Argentina, USA. If that could, I could see be interesting if that actually is an upset.
You
I'm
do
just saying.
you do need a little of a bit of a magical run. The one thing I'll tell you is the MLS
You
was
need luck.
was smart. You need luck, but the MLS was smart. The MLS season's actually going to start right after the World Cup ends. So they're going to
That's
hopefully
smart.
basically
Mm,
And
ride the
some of these
coattails
guys
of
will be gleaned off as well. I think
yeah.
Chicago Fire signed somebody. I forgot who they signed.
correct. So
Lewandowski. He's coming to Chicago Fire. So there you go.
and Casemiro's coming to Inter Miami, so it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see how that piggyback. Any other last thoughts, gentlemen, on week one of the World Cup?
My final thoughts are what my final thoughts are usually every podcast. This has been great. It has every game has been somewhat interesting, if not all the way exciting. And that I wish that is how the World Cup continues.
Well, I say it with a lot of dread and a lot of, pessimism, but it might be coming home.
Yeah.
It might be, but if it does come home, if England do win it, it'll be
Then there
a
is certainly a
deserved
tear
win.
in the multiverse, yaar. ये क्या हो रहा है?
Correct.
A,
Arsenal,
Ger-
But
a
Zalmi,
German,
they're
New York Knicks.
the
put
a
it this way,
German
they're
bringing it
not going
home
to
for
scam their way, but they're not going to scam their way to it.
नहीं
They
यार,
have
बहुत
this
तगड़े
is a
हैं guys
very
यार, बहुत
talented
तगड़े हैं.
team with a lot of world-class players. They would have absolutely
I
deserved it.
mean, this is, I don't know what's above the saying of a golden generation, but this is it, man.
This is
yeah,
it.
yeah. But like I'm
Although,
saying,
you had Ashley Cole and Gary Neville as your fullbacks. You had John Terry, Rio Ferdinand, Sol
The problem
Campbell.
was they couldn't sort the midfield. Now,
They
समझ
just
नहीं आ
couldn't
रहा था
source with the
Gerrard,
midfield.
Lampard,
That's
yeah.
right. They didn't have that 4-3-3 at that time. Gerard
Yeah, they
Lampard,
didn't have that
Scholes,
mindset,
Carrick.
yeah.
They wasted Rooney, Michael Owen. There's a lot of players. You look back at Fabio Capello and Steve McLaren and
Ugh,
stuff like that.
yeah.
Oh,
unbearable coach, man.
I
All
know.
I'm gonna say is, can you imagine if a German brings it home for the English?
Ah,
So
that's
be it.
another narrative.
But there is a stat that no foreign manager has ever won a World Cup.
Ooh, yeah. Is
So
that?
no,
Yeah,
it's
because
true.
has it always been a Brazilian? Yeah, perhaps, maybe,
It's
yeah.
always been no foreign manager has ever won a World
Certainly
Cup.
always an Italian, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
There
it's
you
there.
go.
That's one record that whether it's the US, whether it's England, that'll need to be broken
Hmm.
if that happens, for that to happen. So all right,
Well,
gents,
we've just seen the Knicks, so you never know. Anything
Yeah.
can
you never
happen.
And
know. Anything
Arsenal
can happen.
and Zalbi.
बस कर दो यार, बस कर दो. एक तो तुम और तुम्हारा आर्सेनल स्लैंडर.